Take a look at this.
What if losing the war in Iran is exactly the plan? Let me show you something the media will never tell you. Okay, so everyone's saying Trump is destroying America. He's fighting an unwinnable war in Iran. He's threatening to invade with ground troops. He's pissing off NATO by threatening Greenland. He's picking fights with Canada, Mexico, Denmark, Colombia. JP Morgan says the world will run out of oil by mid-April. The global economy is about to collapse. Trump looks like the worst president in history. A complete buffoon, right? But what if that's the whole point? What if Trump wants to lose the war in Iran? What if he wants the American empire to collapse? What if he wants to destroy the global economy? Then he'd be a genius. Let me explain. Right now, the world gets 20% of its oil from the Middle East. Japan, 75% from the Middle East. India, 60% from the Middle East. Europe, heavily dependent. But here's the thing. Oil isn't rare. Venezuela has the world's largest reserves. Canada has massive reserves. The United States has massive reserves. Trump just took over Venezuela in January. He's threatening to take over Canada. You see where this is going? If Trump closes the Strait of Hormuz by fighting Iran, the Middle East oil stops flowing. But North America, still pumping. Suddenly, Europe, China, Japan, South Korea, they all need American oil. Not just oil, fertilizer too. Nitrogen for food production comes from the Middle East. If that's cut off, where do they turn? North America and Russia. Trump is making the entire world dependent on resources he controls. Now here's the genius part. Who owns the most U.S. debt? Who's financing America's $39 trillion? Japan, China, Taiwan, South Korea, Asia, UK, France, Belgium, Luxembourg, Europe. The same countries that need Middle East oil. There's been this fear that these countries would stop buying U.S. Treasury bonds, that they'd move to gold or Swiss francs, that America's Ponzi scheme would collapse. But now they need American energy. They need American resources. They can't abandon the dollar. They're trapped. Trump just turned America's biggest weakness, its debt, into its greatest weapon. By starting an unwinnable war in Iran, he's forcing the entire world to depend on North America. It's called the TechNate, Greater North America. Greenland for rare earth minerals, Canada for oil and resources, Venezuela for oil reserves, Mexico for manufacturing, Panama Canal for trade control. Trump's not being reckless. He's building a self-sufficient North American fortress while the rest of the world burns. So yes, Trump looks like an idiot. Yes, he's losing the war in Iran. Yes, he's destroying the global economy. But if the goal was to end the American empire and rebuild it for Americans, to make the world dependent on U.S. resources while everyone else collapses, then Trump might go down as the greatest American president in history. The New World Order is dead. Welcome to the Trump World Order.
What if the chaos we're seeing is some type of huge strategy? Because if you assume everything is happening intentionally, it starts to make more sense. Now, listen to the end because this gets very interesting. Let's say for a second that Trump isn't incompetent. Let's say there's actually a plan behind all this chaos, a strategy. Then the question becomes, what kind of plan would require this much disruption? First, you have to understand this one thing that most people don't. The entire global economy runs on one thing, energy. You disrupt energy, you disrupt everything. Now, look at what's happening right now. The Middle East supplies a huge portion of the world's oil, and those routes are heavily disrupted. The entire world is feeling it in food prices, shipping, inflation, and everything else. Energy is the foundation of the global economy, and that foundation is breaking. Now, before any of this was happening, there was already conversations about rewriting the entire financial system. The Trump administration has said that the U.S. could possibly use Bitcoin to deal with its massive debt and restart the system in its favor. About this exact moment in my new book, The Future of Wealth. That's the point when fear turns into resistance. Break the old system, introduce a new system, and shift the balance of power all at the same time. Now, I'm not saying that's exactly what's happening. It's just a theory. But if it were true, this is exactly what it would look like, because if global energy slows down or even stops, you get a complete shift in power. New winners, new losers, new rules. So the real question becomes, who benefits if the system collapses? Because if you can answer that, you can start to see what's really happening. Do you agree? Disagree with this theory? Let me know in the comments and follow me for more on where all